You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, Moses Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. When the Iron Lady sings it, that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. We certainly appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. As always, the Chris Voss Show is the family that loves you, but doesn't judge you, at least not as harshly as your mom does, because she liked the other sibling better, and we all know why. So you'll just have to work it out with her and your psychiatrist. The great thing is we have lots of psychiatrists and PhDs and stuff like that on the show. So just keep listening to the show, and maybe we'll be able to fix whatever sort of trauma you've been through or whatever I just invoked in trauma in your life. So that's why we do the show. We hurt you and heal you. It's kind of a weird relationship like that. It's like being married. Anyway, kids, welcome to the big show. As always, we have the most smartest people on the show: the CEOs, the billionaires, the White House presidential advisors, the Pulitzer Prize winners, the authors, all the great minds who bring their stories, lessons of life, their cathartic moments, and share them with you so that you can learn to maybe avoid some of them, or that you can learn how to improve the quality of your life and all that good stuff, because that's really what matters. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, and Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, so you can see all the latest stuff the Chris Voss Show is up to in the new year and all that good stuff. As always, we have really cool people on the show, and we're excited to have her today. Leah Sakran is on the show with us. She's a multilingual voiceover artist, narrator, and writer. Storytelling is her passion, and she's got her 2 new books that she has, Gusta and Gusto, that are in audiobook form and coming out in other forms soon to be happening. And her latest update to that, Gusta and Gusto with commentary, that just came out 12/5/2023. And we're going to be talking about her experience and what she's done in her life. Leah has a solid background in music, acting, and dance. She is an author, narrator, and multilingual voiceover artist in English, German, Swiss, and French. She's lived in different places around the globe and learned to adapt to various circumstances and look at situations from different perspectives. This is one of the key aspects of storytelling, as Leah points out. Inspired by her colorful mix of backgrounds and experiences, she's the author and narrator of the aforementioned books and wonderful stories around humor, wisdom, and personal growth, which Spoken Realms and Blackstone Publishing have published. She's a storyteller at heart, and now we have her live on the show. Welcome to the show, Leah. How are you?
Hello. Thank you for having me. I love to be here.
Thanks for coming. We'd love to have you as well. Give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
It's my name, all written together, Leah Sakran, LeaSakran.com.
There you go. And is there any other plugs or thank yous or anything like that you want to share out on the show?
Well, I'm also on Instagram with my name. I'm on SoundCloud also with my name. Yeah.
There
That's
you go.
LinkedIn, of course.
LinkedIn, always a good place. Lots of business
always a good
transpires
place
over there.
to
Yeah,
be, right.
yeah. That's the business version of the social media sites. Give us a 30,000 overview of your 2 books now that's been updated with commentary, Gusta and Gusto.
Well, their stories are of 2 rhinos with very humanized emotions, and there are 12 chapters actually also talking about life challenges. Also, rhinos have life challenges in a humanized way, but they have this different attitude to it because you can look at things from different points of views. And obviously, since they're rhinos with human emotions, they also have very creative approaches to actually deal with challenges and find solutions, also in a very creative way, which can be a great empowerment if we listen or hear these stories.
Mm-hmm. And what inspired you to write these characters in the book?
The interesting thing was, in the beginning, I actually wanted to make a podcast with these stories. And by chance, I heard many years ago a father, he had to travel abroad, and he always told the stories to his daughter. But then when he traveled abroad with his wife, they found a solution that via a podcast, he will tell the stories to his daughter. And then I thought, oh, wow, that's a lovely idea. I also would like, to anyhow, because I'm a voiceover, I would like to tell stories. But this was actually the inspiration I had. And then I thought, oh, I'm going to write stories about unicorns in form of a podcast.
Ah.
Yeah. But then my publisher, he said, oh, it would be lovely also as an audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did the audiobook. But there are 2 rhinos. And in the end, there's always a unicorn.
Is that a theme through the books?
Well, in the end, there's always a unicorn. I don't want to give away too much.
Ah, okay. We don't
The
want to
unicorn, it's always a nice thing to have a unicorn in your life.
Let's you go.
Put it that way, yeah.
We call that Fridays around here, having unicorns run around.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not sure what that's about. Inside that, tell us a little bit about your journey through life and what inspired you. You're really big into storytelling. We talk about that a lot on the show, how stories are an important aspect of human nature, human development, human history, and how stories are the owner's manual to life. So tell us your story.
My story of life?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think storytelling, since I'm a little child, and also writing, it was so natural for me. It was so obvious to deal with situations, to reflect about situations, to write down situations, and then fantasize how things could develop. It's so deep within me. It's like, and I also play the piano. So music and writing was actually always the vehicle to deal with situations. And then I worked for a long time also as a scriptwriter. And I worked for the theater. I directed plays also as an actress, and in the opera I also worked. And I did a lot as a scriptwriter, a lot of promotional videos. And then I also did the casting for the voiceovers. And I think, if I think back now, I actually was always also a voiceover. I just was not aware of it, that my pathway through life, it was a journey to realize how important my voice is. And by actually also, working as an actress and as a writer and as a voiceover, to hear my voice and to know it's important that I can communicate important messages through my voice, and that the world hears these messages. So I think it's actually my vocation.
There you go. And when was the first time you started recognizing the importance of telling stories? Did it happen early on? Did it come from influence of
already
family?
when I was like, when I could start to write. Okay, when I was 6 years old, I always played with Barbies and I invented stories. It's all about storytelling. And then I started writing also, when I could write. I always would write diaries, or I always would send postcards to people telling them, I went to the forest and then I saw a rabbit and there was a nice green tree, and then I went home and I wish you a lovely day. It was always about me seeing things and writing about them. And by writing about what I've seen, naturally, in a natural way, a story and a situation actually was recognizable, I would say now.
There you go. So you're a natural storyteller from a young age. And, people, I didn't wake up to this fact till I was 50, that, movies, TV, print, different types of media, it's all storytelling.
It's all
just never, the light never went on my head. But I've been telling stories all my life and collecting stories. I've been a story collector, a griot, if you will. And I love people like yourself who collect stories and spin them and tell them. And this is part of it is entertainment. Part of it is we learn through that entertainment, human nature. None of us got an owner's manual in the mail. I'm still waiting for mine at 56. But stories are the ways we learn. They're the ways we learn mistakes of others. And we also realize that we're not alone in the world, that there are other people that have the same sort of struggles we do. And maybe they have some ways to resolve it that maybe we're not equipped with yet. And so stories is just such a great way to navigate life.
Yeah, and it's also about we can connect through stories, I would say.
There you go.
You tell me a story, and then I said, oh, right. I also found a similar, a story, and then I want to tell it to you. So it's also about connecting, also the slogan kind of Gusta and Gusto, to take it back. It's connecting generations, connecting hearts, and storytelling is also, it's about friendship, I would say.
And building rapport, getting to know another person, getting to know their journey, and you telling them yours, and that's how we go together. There used to be an old thing where when people would meet, or they would be travelers, like in the Old West or something, before that, they would break bread together. And so a traveler would come by and say, hey, can I take refuge at your place? And the stranger they would take them in, and they would do what's called breaking bread together, which means eating over food. It's kind of like what you would see Anthony Bourdain do, meeting strangers and getting to know them over food. And part of that storytelling.
Yes.
And so that used to be the old TV. You'd invite the stranger in your home, and he would tell you the tales of the road and places he'd been, and bring the world to you. And then you probably tell him some of your tales of the road. And that's how we always kind of were communal as human beings. And now we have TV and all this other things. So let's get back to your book, Gusta and Gusto. But what's the core message of that? Can you tell us? Because I know we can't give away a lot in these books that are novels.
I think the core message is for the listeners that they feel empowered, and, to take yourself serious, to take situations serious, but not too serious. There always needs to be also a certain lightness, and not to believe everything you think also, but kind of to find creative ways how we can, we have one situation and we can deal with it in 10 different ways. And Gusta and Gusto, they go through humanized situations, but they obviously it's fantasy, but the fantastic way they actually deal with situations can be a great inspiration also for ourselves, looking at life and knowing where we want to go to, and also to ask the questions, what is my goal and how can I get this in a positive way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah, not everything you think is like probably the best for you. I mean, it's not a lot of stuff, like I'm usually thinking about pie at any given time, and I'm like, I should get some pie. And then my body's like, no, you've had enough pie. So we don't need any more pie. Now, what are the stories, the books and audience age group that you're targeting here?
It's any age group, I would say. I mean, obviously, because they're two rhinos, they say it's for kids or for teenager, juvenile fiction. But it's also in the genre humorous stories. So it's for any age.
There you go. And fun is of all ages, because you gotta have fun in life. Now you put out the one book, Gusta and Gusto, and now you've released the Gusta and Gusto with commentary. Tell us the difference and why you released it that way.
My publisher, he was always also very kind and close, and I'm very grateful for Spoken Realms and Blackstone Publishing. And there was the idea, through the stories to connect generations, connect hearts, friendships. And obviously my daughter is younger than I am.
I would hope so. That's usually how it works.
I would hope so. She's also an actress.
If she's not, you should check with the authorities or something.
I'll check. Yeah, I'll check her passport. So she's also an actress, storyteller, and works also in music and voiceover. And we do many things together, and she loved these stories. And then we thought it's about connecting generations, connecting thoughts. And, we don't always have the same opinion, but it's not a problem. We still are friends, and we find ways. Oh, that's interesting how you look at it, because I think the important aspect is the generation where I was born, for example, and also one of the stories deals with this. It's about your job needs to give you security. That's the main thing. It's not about having fun. I think we're about the same age. So there were different values. And now in the generation of my daughter, I really feel it's a completely different value that you say, I want to do something I really enjoy. You know, it's not anymore that you need to continue the business of your parents it's not anymore the same as it was like 50 years ago, I would say. And this is also very interesting, actually. If we look at the stories, also one story deals about this, how we actually from generation continue beliefs, that we understand we are now in a different time, and different ideas and different values and experiences can actually be a great impact talking about life and stories of life. So it's very nourishing to look from different perspectives, from different times, and value content upon the stories.
There you go. Now, you initially released them on audiobook. Do you plan on bringing them forward to Kindle or book?
I'm actually thinking of it. Yes, yes. Technical aspects are always a challenge, but I won't be afraid, and I will try to find a way also, to get it on Kindle. It shouldn't be too difficult, I think, because
Shouldn't
it's
be
also,
if you already probably have the text, right? Or it can be
Yes.
transcribed too. So
Yeah, absolutely. I love this idea, and I've thought of it before.
I love audiobooks though, and it's available on audible.com, by the way, folks, as well. I love audiobooks because I can listen to them while I'm driving. I consume a lot of audiobooks while I'm driving because driving's kind of a waste of time. You're just sitting there in the car, but you can sit there and enrich your mind, enrich yourself listening to a great audiobook. And then, usually it puts you in a good mood, in case you run into bad traffic. So you're just like, I'm enjoying a great audiobook right now. So I think that can make a difference definitely in listening to audiobooks. Now, do you also do multilingual voice over artist work for other writers?
I have this offer currently on my website that if you have a book and you would like to transform it into an audiobook, obviously, yes, you can contact me, and I'm also happy, to give a free excerpt that you just get a taste also of my voice and of my narration. Yes, of course.
And I can see that on your website. You've got your voice of free audio samples. You've got your portfolio of work that are up here. And then, of course, you can do them in different languages. You're quite verbose in different languages, I guess.
Yes, I'm actually also thinking to do Gusta and Gusto in German. And maybe also in Spanish. At the moment, there are also narrators auditioning to do the narration in Spanish, because I think that's the great thing, actually, to have one story in different languages, because it's also about, stories, they're everywhere, and there shouldn't be a language barrier. It's about emotions.
And then you also do help with script writing and translation and synchronization?
Yes, I do, and dubbing.
There you go. Overdubbing. So like when you have to change a swear word to Bob or something, so it doesn't. You ever seen some of the weird overdubbing they do to block swear words? It's kind of funny. I think some videos on it where it's kind of, especially in the old days when swearing was like a really big deal. They'll put somebody say some swear word and they overdub like just like what the hell are you doing? And so there you go. Now I noticed here on your website for about 7 years you gave courses in creative writing. Do you still do that?
Currently not, but I thought maybe I could, but I can't do everything. I thought maybe online I could, once a month if really people would like it. But I gave creative writing courses for 7 years, and the people, they would have loved to continue. But then I said, stop, that's it. After 7 years,
Okay.
Maybe with a different approach. There's still people who are interested. I'll see. But I really focus, on my voiceover work as a voiceover artist, and I also have another project I'm going to write for soon, in the near future.
Mhm.
My publisher is already waiting for more in the genre poems. I don't want to say too much, but
Mhm.
it's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome, right?
It's going to be awesome.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Awesome
So
poems. That would be a nice title. The
awesome.
Awesome Poems.
There you go.
There you
A
go.
nice little haiku or something. I don't know. What's the future of? Is there any books you're working on in the future? Are you going to keep rolling out the Gusta and Gusto series with different scenarios?
Actually, my audio producer who did the mastering, he recently said, "What about the evil cousin? When is this book
Oh,
going to come out?"
it's
So
a whole new book
I'm going to
series
keep it
right
in
there.
mind, maybe. Yeah,
Mhm.
I could do an evil cousin.
The evil rhino
Um,
cousin. Is it a rhino?
Of course. Or
Oh,
maybe
wow.
maybe it could be a dragon, the evil.
Dragon. Yeah, dragons are
Yeah, let's.
usually not good people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Are there any good dragons? I don't know.
Yes, there are good
I
dragons.
don't read a lot of dragon books.
I'm sure there are good dragons.
What was that one show that had the dragon on it with the blonde lady, and it was a medieval sort of mixture of fantasy and reality?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, I
huge
know.
show.
Mm-hmm.
Was the dragons good in that show, or the evil, or both? They were kind of like good for her, but bad for anybody she didn't like. That's how it worked out.
I saw once a show with a cute dragon. He
Oh,
was
really?
a very nice dragon, yeah.
Wow. There
And there was always steam coming out of his nose
Mm-hmm.
because he tried to scare the people.
Yeah,
Maybe I could write a story like that.
that sounds
But
like a
no
great
one was
story.
scared of him because he was so cute.
That might be a really
That
great
would be a
story.
nice story. I
'Cause
don't know if I saw this or if I just
yeah,
invented it now.
maybe so. Like the steam comes out of his nose because he's afraid of people as much as people are afraid of him,
We should
and
write
then
that
he
story.
has to learn to somewhere. It's got to be some young kid who crosses the boundary, and some young kid goes, he's not evil. He's a nice dragon. I'm gonna go pet him, and thereby they're best friends now, and everyone's like, hey, how the hell did you work that out? That sounds like a story. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And often also, I think with our thoughts, we build up a huge thing,
Ah.
but, just approach it and,
You could talk about prejudices, like how people have racial prejudice, or they see people
yeah,
and they jump to conclusions about who people are, and it's an example or an allegory or whatever. I flunked second grade, where basically don't have prejudices and get to know people. And,
it's
turns out it's not really a mean dragon at all.
it's great that you're saying this.
Yeah.
Also, within the stories of Gusta and Gusto, there is also the story where you refer to all the countries, that no matter in which country you are, it's all about human beings who just want to be respected and to be heard and seen. It's always, no matter where we are, it's always the same theme.
Yeah. Everybody wants to be respected,
Yeah.
or at least have courtesy and be treated like a fellow human being with dignity. That's always important. So yeah, there's probably a whole, probably wrote a whole story. Just send me a residual check and we'll be fine. I'll let you write it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have that kind of imagination to do novels. I'm a business guy. All I can do is business books. I wish I had that trick, but you folks who can write novels are just magical in how you can story weave and build characters. And I don't have any of that talent, so I'm gonna let you hold that lane.
Oh, but you just gave me a great idea. So
Well,
maybe
run with it. I'd be proud.
somewhere
Just put in
your
the
DNA,
dedication. Thanks, Chris
storyteller.
Voss, for
Yes.
a great idea. I really appreciate it.
Idea
There
from
you go.
Chris Voss.
Subscribe to the Chris Voss Show.
Yeah.
He's got the good ideas. That's what they pay me for. I'm just an idea guy. Final thoughts on the book as we go out. Is there anything we didn't touch on about the book that you want people to know about?
I would like that people know, and that's also one of the slogans of Gusta and Gusto, that what you imagine, you can create.
Mm.
I strongly believe this.
Mm-hmm.
And that you believe that beliefs actually can move things into a direction you want to. It's all about energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Energy and belief and storytelling, et cetera, et cetera. What's some of your advice for people who want to write like you do, who want to maybe write stories like this? Hopefully they don't steal the dragon idea now that it's
I
published.
hope so.
better write this story quick and get it out.
Yeah, I'll do it after the show.
I want residuals from everybody. At least put me in the dedication.
Absolutely.
From everybody who writes that damn story. But what is your writing method? Do you use? How do you sit down every day and write? What sort of process do you use when you write?
Actually, the stories, they just come to me.
Wow.
I can't say it's so. I'm just actually listening what comes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was with the rhinos, they were just here, and then I just wrote the story. And what I'm actually, it's here. Everything is here already. It's like if you paint, you know, a painting, you see it at some point it's ready, and then you just paint it. And I have the comparison with music. You know, I studied for a long time. I was at the conservatory in San Francisco with music. Yeah, before I went into acting. But anyway, it's a different story. But before playing, I was also playing for competitions. I would just look at the sheet, at the notes, and I would just let it settle. I wouldn't even play for a long time. I would just go through it, always in my imagination, in my ear. I felt the movements in the fingers, but without moving. And then at some point, I knew now I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started playing it. And I was already very far, just through through the imagination of playing the music piece.
Wow.
And, you know, you also do this in sports, for example, that you go through the pathway, for example, runners, and you do it with your imagination.
Yeah.
And
it's so interesting how you guys can build that out in your heads, how it just comes to you.
It's a practice.
Mm-hmm. Is that what you find is the important part, the practice, the building of that muscle in telling stories?
I think it's important to believe that you can do it, because we have, you know, self-doubts. They can be very strong. And someone once said, the greatest enemy you have is yourself or your thoughts. And to discipline your own thoughts into the direction you want to go, and that it's positive. And I recently made I had a very interesting experience. I read in a book, it was about, thank you for believing in me before I believed in myself.
Oh, wow.
And I actually misunderstood this quote, because I didn't read everything. And I thought, wow, that's really a marvelous quote, because this means, thanks for believing in me before I believed in myself, that somewhere in your own DNA, there is already the belief you have for yourself. Like a grain before it blossoms. But they said a mentor actually believes in you before you believed in yourself. But my misunderstanding, I really liked the way I misunderstood it.
Sometimes that story's better.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? And so that's why what you imagine, you can create. I think all information is in the universe, and you can touch upon it if you give yourself the permission to create your own great life, and educate yourself and say, if there are thoughts which harm you, you know, just throw them out.
Yeah, you don't want to keep the bad thoughts.
No, you don't want to.
At least that's what the judge tells me I can't do anymore. Get that voice in my head that says kill, kill, kill all the time. I get one of the ankle bracelets off this week. There's a stack of them. And the judge says no more bad thoughts. But no, I remember, I think it was Stephen Wright, the famous comedian who always did that smug comedy. One of his jokes was, I was sitting watching a football game with my 100-year-old grandfather, and there was a replay of a touchdown, and he thought it was real that they gotten another touchdown. and I was going to tell him that he was mistaken, and then I realized the game in his head was probably better. And it's always stuck with me. I'm like, that's an interesting perspective. It's the way, like your interpretation of what someone was telling you, and your story turned out better. Good for you. I mean, that's the beauty of creativity. You take something
Absolutely.
that everyone knows, you make it better, and then there you are. There's the fun of that. When you go through your work, why do you love doing audiobooks and voiceovers as opposed to writing in prose? Or is there a preference?
I think voicing a text, it actually, I mean, obviously, if you write it, at some point, there's a spark of life. But through your voice, you actually additionally put a light on it, and it can sparkle. Because, you voice what you wrote. It's like a marriage, I would say, a positive marriage.
Seen those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just some magic happening. And also, if I voice the text which I wrote or, some text of other people, I feel, is there the flow? Is there maybe a word I need to change, that there's a better flow? How do I give the sense of the meaning, what I would like that people feel? And it's actually, I'm taking the listeners, I'm not saying by their ear, by the hand, and we do this journey together. It's a different approach. If you read a book and you read it on your own, you hear maybe your own voice, or you project maybe a voice of a narrator you like. But if you actually say, okay, I want the narration of Leo Sakran, you actually say, I'm trusting this story, and I'm trusting to be taken by the hand and doing this journey and going this journey and enjoying this journey with now the narrator. I enjoy, because I enjoy the voice, I enjoy the pauses, I enjoy the rhythm. I can emphasize with the way she tells the stories. That's why you also, many people, they stick with certain narrators because they just can identify with them, or it gives them something where they really feel nourished and, at ease and comfortable.
There you go. As we go out on the show, give people a pitch out in your final thoughts on the book. Tell them where to buy it. Give them a pitch out to pick up the book wherever fine books are sold.
Well, you can find it everywhere. You can find it on Audible. You can find, on Amazon. You can find it everywhere.
There you go. And I know you said to me in the green room you wanted to thank your publisher and all that stuff. Do you want to throw that in there?
Yes. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah. So I really want to thank Spoken Realms. I want to thank Blackstone Publishing, Stephen Cohen from Spoken Realms very much, and the whole team of Spoken Realms. I want to thank Morrison Ellis, who is one of the best audio producers, I would say, for mastering everything, for also the great talks we had. I want to thank Jason Von Winkler, the illustrator of the covers, and the valuable discussions we had, where I could actually tell him what kind of emotions I wanted him to illustrate with Gusta and Gusto, and which he really did in a perfect way. And I want to thank my daughter, Laura Dana Rose Sakran. It was so inspiring to do in the commentaries the stories with her. It gave this freshness, and always kind of in a good, provocative way, an inspiration how we can hear elements of stories in a different way. And it was a lovely work that we did together. And I think also the value of relationships between parents and children. I think this is just such an important aspect of life also, to
Definitely.
have the courage to connect and make beautiful things together. And she also performed in a lovely way The Bear, where she did the voiceover. So if you hear the bear, he's called Ludwig Bear Mountain. Remember, this is my daughter.
There you go. There you go. Well, it's been fun, Leah, to have you on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And give us your .com one more time as we go out. And I think we're going to have some giveaways on the Chris Voss Show post.
Yes,
People can look for the
absolutely.
codes for that. So look on the chrisvossshow.com post, and you can see the codes and different things that are offering there.
Okay, it's once more, leasakran.com in one word. Shall I spell it one more time? Or
Sure, please do.
Okay, so it is Leas, like Sandra, AKR, like Rome, AN, like news.
There you go.
.com.
There you
Right.
go. So thank you very much, Leah. Thanks for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss one on the TikTokity and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
And that should